This week in Los Angeles, time seemed to slow, yet every heartbeat carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. From the hushed conversations in private rooms to the storms that brewed in the open, it became clear that nothing, and no one, would emerge untouched. The walls of Forrester Creations echoed not only with the sound of fashion and business but with the pull of history, family, and secrets too heavy to remain hidden. Each glance held meaning, each silence felt louder than words, and every decision threatened to tip the balance of already fragile relationships. This was a week where love looked like salvation for some and destruction for others. Where loyalties were tested at their very core, and where those who once stood certain found themselves second-guessing what, and who, they could trust. Tears weren't just shed in grief, but in longing, in guilt, in moments when words could no longer carry the burden of emotion. Behind closed doors, desires wrestled with duty. In the open, promises were made, some to be kept, others destined to be broken. Lines blurred between what is right and what is necessary, and those who thought they held the upper hand began to feel the ground shifting beneath them. Every relationship, romantic, familial, and professional, seemed to stand at a crossroads. A single word, a single choice, threatened to unravel what had been carefully woven together over years. And yet, through the chaos, hope lingered, as fragile and fleeting as the California sunlight streaming through the windows of a house built on love and lies alike. It was a week of pauses pregnant with meaning, of secrets whispered just out of earshot, of betrayals so quiet they could almost be mistaken for kindness. And it was a week that reminded us that in this world, nothing is truly finished, every ending is simply the beginning of something new. The week of September 8th through September 12, 2025 will not soon be forgotten, because it left us not with answers, but with questions. Questions that will ripple into tomorrow, shaping lives in ways we cannot yet see. So settle in, take a deep breath, and prepare to step once more into the world where love is power, secrets are currency, and every choice has the power to change everything. This is the bold and the beautiful, and this was a week like no other. The Bold and the Beautiful, Monday, September 8, 2025, delivered an episode filled with heartbreak, confrontation, and unraveling family ties. Ridge Forrester made a choice that will echo through every relationship connected to him. Standing before Taylor, he told her he could not go through with their wedding. His words were heavy, his reasoning undeniable, as he admitted that lingering feelings for Brooke still lived within him. For Taylor, the decision was devastating. She poured out her heart, pleading with Ridge to remember the life they had built, the love they once shared, and the history that tied them together as a family. She begged him not to let Brooke or Eric come between them again. Yet, Ridge stood by his decision. He claimed it was not about Brooke, but Taylor, with unwavering clarity, knew otherwise. His heart, no matter what he said, still belonged to Brooke. As Taylor struggled to hold her world together, Thomas turned his frustration on Brooke. He confronted her with raw anger, insisting she step aside once and for all and let Ridge and Taylor have their life together. He reminded her that Ridge had chosen Taylor and that she needed to accept the truth. But Brooke refused to retreat. She spoke of Italy, of the moment she shared with Ridge, a moment that reignited their connection and proved to her that his love for her had never died. The confrontation left no room for peace, only more conflict, as Thomas's loyalty to his mother deepened his hostility toward Brooke. Elsewhere, another storyline took a dangerous turn. Luna's fixation on Will became darker and more disturbing as she sent him a photograph of Electra's mask accompanied by the words, "Our secret." It was a move that revealed just how far she was willing to go to keep a hold on him. Lee intervened, warning Luna to stay away from Will, but her words fell on deaf ears. Luna's behavior grew more erratic, hinting at a spiral that could have serious consequences for everyone involved. The relationships at the core of this drama are shifting in irreversible ways. Ridge's choice fractured Taylor and left her unwilling to let go, even as Brooke held on to the hope that destiny would bring Ridge back to her. Thomas's confrontation with Brooke reopened wounds that have never healed and placed him firmly in opposition to her. Luna's growing obsession pulled Will into a dangerous situation, forcing Lee to protect him while fearing what Luna's next move might be. Looking forward, Ridge's dilemma will continue to tear at him, pulling him between his past with Brooke and the future he once promised Taylor. Taylor's refusal to let go may drive her to desperate measures, while Brooke's faith in Ridge may prove unshakable. Luna's actions are certain to lead to revelations and possibly scandal, dragging others into her web. And Thomas's volatile nature threatens to shatter the fragile balance in the Forrester family, opening the door to more conflict and heartbreak. Monday's episode reminded us that choices made in love come with consequences that ripple through families and relationships. Ridge's confession, Taylor's heartbreak, Thomas's anger, and Luna's obsession all collided in an hour that set the stage for explosive fallout. This was not just the end of a wedding. It was the beginning of battles that will define the days ahead. For Ridge Forrester, the weight of choice had been pressing down for weeks. Torn between two women who had defined his life in very different ways, he finally reached a breaking point. With Taylor Hayes standing before him, filled with hope and expectation, Ridge confessed the truth he could no longer run from. He could not marry her. His voice carried regret but also clarity. His heart, despite all efforts to move forward, belonged to Brooke Logan. The words cut deep, and the silence that followed seemed to hang heavy in the room. Taylor's devastation was immediate, her eyes betraying the heartbreak she tried to contain. This was not the first time Ridge had chosen Brooke, and the echoes of the past made the moment all the more painful. She reminded him of the life they had shared, the family they had raised, and the love that had defined their bond. But Ridge remained resolute. His future could not be built on obligation, no matter how much he cared for her. It had to be built on truth, and that truth was Brooke. And yet, in the midst of her sorrow, Taylor showed a strength that few could have imagined. She did not lash out or curse Brooke's name. Instead, she did something extraordinary. Through her tears, she gave Ridge her blessing. She told him that if Brooke was where his heart lived, then he should follow it. This was not surrender so much as acceptance, a heartbreaking but dignified choice that spoke volumes about her growth. Taylor's pain was palpable, but so was her grace. For Brooke Logan, however, the day was transformed into a dream she had longed for but scarcely believed would come true. Alone in her office, she was taken aback when Ridge appeared, holding a single rose, a symbol of their enduring love. His eyes told her everything before he spoke the words, but when he did, they rang with promise. He asked her to be his wife once more. After years of heartbreak, betrayal, and reunions torn apart by circumstance, Brooke finally heard the words she had waited for. With tears streaming down her cheeks, she said yes. The kiss they shared was not simply romantic, it was the rekindling of a bond that had survived more storms than most couples could endure. To Brooke, it was proof that destiny had always been on their side. But while Ridge and Brooke found themselves in the glow of renewed love, another storyline ripped open the fabric of certainty. Will Spencer was left reeling by a revelation he could scarcely believe: Luna was alive. For so long, Will had lived with the knowledge that Liam had killed her. He had carried the weight of grief, anger, and unresolved pain. To see her alive was to have the ground ripped from beneath him. His face reflected shock, betrayal, and disbelief as Luna was forced out of the shadows she had been hiding in. Their confrontation was raw, filled with questions that had no easy answers. Why had she allowed him to think she was dead? What was she hiding that was worth such deceit? Luna, backed into a corner, could only admit part of the truth, revealing her presence but not yet the full scope of her secrets. The air between them crackled with tension, a mixture of anger, confusion, and lingering attachment. What Will did not yet know, what the audience saw in haunting silence, was Luna's private turmoil. Alone, away from the eyes of those who demanded answers, she stood with a pregnancy test in hand. Her expression was one of dread and uncertainty, a woman caught between her past, her present, and a future she was not ready to face. The unanswered question of her pregnancy hinted at consequences that could rock not only her life but the lives of everyone connected to her. This episode was not merely about a wedding proposal or a shocking return. It was about the collision of destiny and deception, about the way choices ripple through families and across generations. Ridge's decision tied him once more to Brooke, a love story as old as the series itself, but it also forced Taylor to find strength in heartbreak. Her willingness to step aside with grace marked one of her most selfless moments, even as it reminded viewers of the pain she has carried for years. At the same time, Luna's reappearance was more than a plot twist, it was a revelation with explosive potential. Her secrets, her lies, and her potential pregnancy opened the door to storylines that could fracture families, test relationships, and expose truths long buried. Will's reaction to her survival was just the beginning. The questions of loyalty, betrayal, and responsibility now swirl around them both. Today in Los Angeles, emotions ran high and lives were forever changed. Ridge Forrester, torn between two women he's loved for decades, finally made a decision. Standing before Brooke Logan with a heart full of passion, Ridge dropped to one knee and asked her to marry him. Brooke, radiant with joy, accepted without hesitation. Ridge promised to spend the rest of his days making up for lost time, and even suggested that Carter officiate their wedding as soon as possible. For Brooke, it was the fairy tale moment she had been waiting for. But across town, Taylor Hayes was left shattered. The engagement ring Ridge once placed on her finger now felt like a cruel reminder of what could have been. Thomas rushed to his mother's side, furious at Ridge's betrayal, and openly blamed Brooke for manipulating the situation. Taylor, though heartbroken, tried to hold her head high, but the weight of Ridge's choice cut deep into her soul. Meanwhile, another shocking revelation rocked the Forrester and Spencer families. Will Spencer confronted Luna, who, to his horror, revealed that she was very much alive. Thought dead for months, Luna admitted that her Aunt Lee had hidden her away, keeping her survival a secret. Pulling out the haunting mask she once wore, Luna confessed that she had been the mystery woman Will spent the night with after a party. The truth sent Will reeling, disgusted, angry, and broken by the knowledge of who she truly was. Relationships are now standing at a crossroads. Ridge and Brooke stand united in love, ready to walk down the aisle again, even as the ghosts of the past threaten to unravel their happiness. Taylor is left to pick up the pieces of her broken heart, supported by her son Thomas, whose bitterness toward Brooke only grows stronger. Will and Luna face a future clouded in pain and mistrust, with Will torn between his lingering feelings and the devastating truth Luna has revealed. And while Liam Spencer quietly plots to win Hope back, reminding her of their family bond and the love they once shared, Hope finds herself torn between the stability she has with Carter and the history that ties her to Liam. As the sun sets over Los Angeles, the stage is set for new betrayals, rekindled passions, and the kind of heartbreak that only the bold and the beautiful can deliver. Hello, bold and the beautiful fans. Welcome back to another in-depth recap, where we break down all the jaw-dropping moments and emotional twists from the September 11, 2025 episode. Grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get into the drama, because today, the lives of our favorite Forrester, Logan, and Spencer families are more tangled than ever. Let's start with the biggest shocker of the day, Ridge and Brooke's wedding. Yes, you heard that right. Against all odds, and after countless ups and downs, Ridge and Brooke have tied the knot in a surprise ceremony at Forrester Creations. Carter officiated the event, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Ridge looked into Brooke's eyes and declared her the love of his life, sealing his words with a passionate kiss. After everything they've been through, betrayals, rivalries, misunderstandings, it's a moment that fans have waited for, but let's be honest, it's also a moment that raises a lot of questions. Will this marriage finally bring them happiness, or will old wounds and jealousies come back to haunt them? But the drama didn't stop there. Will's world was turned upside down when he discovered the full truth about his mysterious night with Luna. The revelation that Luna faked her own death and manipulated Will into sleeping with her left him horrified and deeply shaken. The emotional fallout is real, and Will is struggling to process Luna's actions. As viewers, we can't help but wonder, can Will ever forgive Luna? Will she ever truly face justice, or is there another twist coming? Meanwhile, Elektra couldn't stop singing Will's praises to Ivy and Katie, expressing her admiration for his integrity and loyalty. Katie, ever the protector, seems to be keeping a close watch, and I suspect she knows more than she's letting on. Will Katie step in if things get even messier? Let's keep an eye on that. The relationship tensions are absolutely at a boiling point this week. Will finally confronts Luna about her deceit and tells her point blank that she'll be heading back to prison. But Luna, in true soap opera fashion, shows zero remorse. She claims she gave Will something he wanted, flipping the script and leaving everyone, Will included, wondering where things go from here. Can Luna ever redeem herself in Will's eyes, or is this the end of their story? Carter, on the other hand, is grappling with his own doubts. He confides in Daphne, sharing his uncertainty about Hope's feelings for him. Is Carter wasting his time, or is Hope just afraid to take a chance on real love? Daphne's advice plants seeds of doubt in Carter's mind, making us all wonder what Hope's next move will be. And then, there's Hope, torn between Liam, Carter, and even the possibility of Thomas re-entering the picture. The love triangle, or should I say, love quadrangle, is back in full force. Hope's heart is clearly at war with her head, and as viewers, we know that's a recipe for drama, heartbreak, and maybe, just maybe, an unexpected happy ending. Looking ahead, the future is anything but certain. Luna's actions have serious consequences looming, possible prison time and the risk of losing everyone she cares about. Thomas, meanwhile, is becoming increasingly erratic, and his schemes could threaten the stability of the entire Forrester family. And of course, even as Ridge and Brooke bask in their newlywed bliss, we all know that happiness in the world of the bold and the beautiful never comes without complications. Will old rivalries resurface? Will family tensions test their marriage yet again? I want to hear from you. What do you think about Ridge and Brooke's surprise wedding? Is Will right to turn his back on Luna, or do you think she deserves a second chance? And who do you think Hope truly belongs with, Liam, Carter, or Thomas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more daily updates, behind-the-scenes secrets, and exclusive soap opera content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep it bold, keep it beautiful, and keep coming back for all the drama, romance, and twists that make this show the one we just can't stop watching. Welcome back, Soap Fam. Today's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was nothing short of explosive, so let's dive right in. We open with the confrontation everyone's been waiting for, Thomas versus Brooke. And let me tell you, Thomas wasn't holding back. He looked Brooke straight in the eye and told her the chaos she has inflicted on his family stops today. He's had it with the manipulations, the interruptions, the constant wedge she tries to drive between Ridge and Taylor. For Thomas, this was personal. It wasn't just about protecting Taylor, it was about defending the integrity of his entire family. Brooke, of course, didn't back down. She stood her ground, defiant as ever, reminding Thomas that Ridge is his own man and makes his own decisions. But the way Thomas leaned in, his voice steady but fierce, you could feel the tension vibrating in the room. He vowed that no matter what Brooke tries, he will stand guard over Taylor and make sure her happiness is no longer sacrificed for Brooke's desires. And let's be honest, this wasn't just a casual warning. This was Thomas drawing a line in the sand. A threat, plain and simple. Brooke may think she's untouchable, but Thomas is finally stepping into his power, and the question now is, will Ridge be forced to choose sides once again? The episode painted a clear picture. Brooke's influence has finally pushed Thomas to a breaking point. He's no longer the quiet designer in the background. He's a son, a protector, and maybe even the wild card that could shift the entire balance of this love triangle. What happens next? Will Ridge finally realize that Brooke's presence in his life is tearing his family apart? Or will Brooke double down, fighting even harder to keep Ridge by her side? The drama is only heating up, and you know the fallout is going to be massive. If you're as hooked as I am, drop your thoughts below. Whose side are you on, Brooke's or Thomas's? Do you think Ridge will finally wake up? Let's get that debate going in the comments. And hey, if you love this breakdown and you want more daily soap recaps, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the drama. Share this with your fellow soap fans, because trust me, tomorrow's showdown is only going to get juicier.